One. And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Waypoint podcast. Sorry for that little delay. We had some technical difficulties. But we're back, and we're here with a good friend of mine, Steve from AITX. Steve, how you been, man? It's been a little while.
John, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It has been a while. There's been so much going on. We've been moving so fast, I think, both of us, that, hey, listen, I'm glad I'm here. You're here. I'm glad we're going to be able to answer some questions and yeah, good to be on the call with you.
So, but look, before we start looking at any questions, do you want to give everybody a quick little update? I mean, you guys have been very busy. Congratulations, by the way. Between the PRs and getting the filings out, I mean, you guys are kicking some serious ass lately.
Yeah. I mean, that quarter, these past 3 months, past 4 months since the beginning of this fiscal year have been pretty incredible. And I want to point out that, you know, this is follow through on promises that I made in December and January when I said, we would be making some big moves. There would be a lot of expansion. There would be great first quarter results, on and on and on and on and on. So it's fun to deliver. And I just want to connect the dots for, the AITX community that's listening, saying, hey, I put it out there, I tease certain things, and then I deliver. So yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm trying to think. Do you guys want to do you want to jump right in, or do you want to hit on a little bit more on that? I mean, there's been look. I'll speak openly. There's been some criticism in the past about how Steve doesn't like to give definitive dates on things or blah blah blah, and I think this kind of proves why. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes it happens a lot sooner than people expect. But one way or another, you do always seem to come through on this.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it. You hit a great topic to start with because I've kind of gotten lit up the last few days. Not like lit up in a negative way, but just people wanting more information on something that I had in like either a Friday or Saturday video webcast where I was talking about a partnership with a company, and it's a tech partnership. I talk about things that are exciting to me, and I think will be exciting to the community, and this is one of them. But just like you said, I can't be more specific or definite for a couple of reasons. Number one, whenever we're talking partnership or something like that, I don't control the timing. So I can't be definitive on the timing for that reason. There's other parties involved. The second reason is that if I am definitive before I have signed paperwork and I talk about it in a definitive manner, then that creates an expectation, and expectations that aren't followed through on create liabilities. So for me and the company. So it's for those reasons that I'm always hedging when I'm speaking, and it's just the nature of the game that we're all part of. Um, just how it is.
Yeah, I mean,
But
look.
this particular partnership, I think we're going to. I hope, right? So hedging. I hope we're going to be able to announce it in 3 weeks or so, and it's going to be really cool. It's the first time we've ever done anything like that. I'm pretty sure the AITX community is going to love it. I know the industry is going to love it. That's for sure. So we'll see how things go.
Yeah, and I mean, look, don't get me wrong. It's a fair criticism of 90% of the OTC where it's, oh, they don't give definitive timelines. But there is, especially in an industry like this where, a client could be really excited about the product and tell you, hey, we want to we want a further demo on this. It could still be, 6, 9 months out. It's not something you really can control. You're kind of at, the beck and call of the client, at least until the paperwork's signed. So you don't want to set up this false expectation of, it's going to be done next week, or, we're going to have these crazy results for you at the end of the month, because 9 times out of 10, that's when like the CFO get involved and goes, hold on, we can do this, but it's going to take a little bit longer, or, hey, you guys missed this specific line on the contract. We have to go back over. I mean, it's silly stuff like that that holds a lot of it up. But
That's exactly right.
I think you've done a lot I think you've done a lot of good for shareholders by being open about that and saying like, hey, look, we are delayed, but here's the reason why, and we do have other things coming, so stay tuned.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like to think actually that we have like the most engaged and educated investor base in the OTC. There has to be some value of my presence and answering questions and clarifying items and shooting down rumors. I really believe that we do have this educated base, and that's what I want. I want people to know what they're putting their money into. And I'll address one other thing that I find interesting. From time to time, people are like, Steve, I think that, you're too present. You should scale back your presence on social media. So first of all, like my presence on social media is a morning tweet, a weekly video update, more or less a monthly Q&A with you, and then, whatever, some Twitter stuff from time to time, depending on how my days or weeks go, right? Sometimes I'll pop on the stock twits or something like that. And I'll pop on the Discord as well. I love the Discord community. But, it's not like I'm sitting in front of my computer like this, social, media guy doing all this stuff all day. It doesn't take that much time out of my day. And people are like, well, you're too accessible and it's un-CEO like. To which I always respond, I'm like, okay, where where's that CEO manual? Like, did I sign up for specific behavior? We're going to do this our way. We're going to communicate to the extent that we want with our investors, and that's how it's going to be. So, I think most people like it, and other people will always find something to complain about.
Oh,
But I'm
dude,
I'm happy to be present. I'm happy to communicate.
I hate that criticism because it makes no sense to me. It's like, listen, again, we're in the OTC, right? You and I have set out to change the OTC. That was the whole point of Waypoint, and that was the whole. I mean, that's something that you strive to do. Even your call out to other CEOs to kind of do better is to not follow in the footsteps of other, shitty OTC CEOs. To hit somebody on that and be like, "Oh, you're too present, you're too available." First off, a tweet takes like 2 seconds, so it's really not that big of a deal. And second off, this is somebody that you're trusting your money with. I mean, if you trust somebody with your money, you trust them with your kids 9 times out of 10. Wouldn't you want a more open communication, more open dialogue with that person, as opposed to just saying, you know what, I kind of trust that guy, and if things go downhill in 3 months, that's my fault. It's crazy to me. I mean, you should
Yep.
want additional oversight. You should want a one-on-one communication where you can say, "Hey, look, I'm going to put another 10 grand into this, but what can I expect?" Well, you can expect an attentive CEO that's going to keep you updated on your investment. I don't know. It's such a silly argument to me. It's like being offended that the pilot's telling you that you're going to be landing 15 minutes early.
Right. Right. No, well said. Well said. And I think the bottom line is that there's been various criticisms levied against us, just by being in the public. It's part of the package. And at the end of the day, we're going to continue to do everything we've been doing. We have a very loyal and involved AITX community whom I adore and who I feel responsible to for all the right reasons. And that's our base. We've got probably, I think, these are my pure off the cuff estimates, but my pure off the cuff estimates is that maybe 20% of our shares are held by the AITX community, and 80 are held by swing and day traders, momentum traders, as I call them. Now, again, these are my pure estimates based on just what little bits and pieces of information that I see and can piece together. But my base is that 20%. Those are going to be the folks that are going to be with us over the years and that have been with us over the years. And that's who I'm responsible to. The day traders and the swings and the momentums, piping up about this and that on a daily basis, whatever. If there's some merit, I'll respond. But generally, I'm focused on the guys that are really invested in us. I appreciate them.
No, and I mean honestly, I do too. Our community as a whole, this Discord community means everything to me, because this is a community like no others. I mean, you and I have talked about the shortfalls of sites like StockTwits or iHub, and how they tend to just breed a lot of negativity. And we do have the occasional negativity here, but it's mostly just investors that want to learn and want to share their due diligence, as opposed to just sitting on a chat room all day, shit talking one another. I'm proud of the community that we have. but it's important because a
Yeah,
community
I
like
understand.
that makes you want to go to bat for them, right? It's when you have a good group of investors saying, "Hey, you know what? Whatever it is, we've got your back. We trust you." It gives you that extra push to go that 110% as opposed to everybody saying, "Oh, we hate you and you're a total failure." Well, you self-actualize. If that's all you hear, then you're not going to be doing your best.
Yep, yep. Well, you raised a good point talking about the investor community, and I'm happy to announce that Mark and I worked out this morning that we will have the Rex investor meeting, get together. Well, I don't know what we're going to call it yet, but it is going to be September 15th. I think is a Wednesday, whatever that, I think it's September 15th. Um, at the Rex, going to be from about 4 o'clock to about 6 o'clock in the day. So anyway, so anybody listening, just kind of mark that day on your calendar. The application and official notification will come out on Thursday. But just letting you know, I had so much fun meeting a handful of folks at the beginning of May. And now we've got even more momentum, more investors, more educated buyers and sellers and traders that Mark and I are excited to meet everybody and show you some cool stuff. Show you Romeo, show you some roses, show you Ava, all the goodies that we have. Maybe I might even have this other piece of tech from this other company that I'm talking about with this tech partnership. That'd be incredible if I did, but that'll be a stretch. We'll see. Anyway, September 15th.
So we'll jump into that in a minute. But actually, since we're already talking about the Rex, Scribbles asks, now that Rex has production capability of about 30 Romeos per month, are you going to be able to start fulfilling those LOIs, faster than how you initially anticipated?
Yeah, great question. So, there's a handful or a couple handfuls of folks that really do deep dive analysis on us and know everything that's going on. Scribbles is one of them. Look for the helpers, fins up fans, Catman. I don't know his. I just call him Catman, but he's pretty awesome. He gets real deep. He gives answers great questions. Andy Powers as well. The list goes on and on and on. So Scribbles, and everybody else, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for keeping things sensible. Um, we have started staffing up for the Romeo production team. I think it's too early for me to talk about, fixed production dates on when the LOIs are going to be fulfilled. So it's a good question. I don't have a definitive answer for you right now. I've got goals for this fiscal year. I hope to achieve them. This week, I'll show some photos of new Romeos being put together that should go to customers in September. So you can expect that from me this week. I'll be at the Rex on Wednesday. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot that we've changed on the platform over the past few months. We're going to be demonstrating some of that functionality as the Romeo test track finally takes shape over the next couple of weeks as well. So yeah, you'll hear more of it. I don't have any other definitive information on that question right now, Scribbles.
So to kind of touch what you were talking about before, just because I've seen like 8 questions for it, can you give us any more insight on this tech partnership that you mentioned briefly?
Sure. I can say that it's technology that is headline grabbing globally. And again, deal's not done, but I'll leave you with that.
Okay, I think that's more than people expected to get. So a win is a win, and we will take that. Let's see. We got a couple questions in here. All right, one person says, less of a question, more of an observation. If you're going to ask something, then I would ask what your average slash most common subscription length is. So I guess, what's your average device contract length?
12 months.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you find that a lot of people end up renewing after that 12 month process?
Yeah, very little attrition. I think we're over 90% renewal right now.
Really, 90%. That is a fantastic capture rate.
Yeah, I think it's higher. I think it's like 95. Like I can count on one hand, the renewals that didn't happen, and they had didn't happen largely because staff changed on the existing, on the existing customers. So I will tell you that 1% attrition keeps me up at night and bugs the crap out of me, and I focus on it. So we've got a whole customer engagement team, and I think from a realistic standpoint, being at or above 90% for retention is freaking stellar. At the same time, I certainly don't accept that number. And every single deal, like I said, the handful that didn't renew, I get personally involved in to understand what happened, why, and you know how to work that into future processes and deals to maintain a high level of retention.
Well, it's funny because for most companies to hear a 70% retention rate, they'd be, dancing up and down and shouting for joy. So to hear that when you're like, hey, if we're only at 90%, I'm a little upset about it. One, I think that speaks volumes to the customer service that you guys are providing. But two, I think it also explains why you guys have such a high retention rate because while somebody else would say, you know what, we lost 1%, who cares? I mean, for the CEO to get directly involved and say, hey, you know what, that's not what we're about. Let's, we need to do better. Even at, like I said, at such a high retention rate, that shows a level of care that I think most customers don't get.
Yep.
And actually, I'm going to ask my own question. And, it's a bit of a hypothetical, but I'm sure you have some insight to it. Do you feel that the reason you have such a high retention rate is the technology is good, or do you think it's just because you guys have such outstanding technical support?
I think it's because the I wouldn't necessarily say the technology, but that's a part of it. I would say that the entire package. I would say the way that we qualify deals, the way that we find value for customers, the way that we deliver, the way that we implement, the way that we support throughout the entire process. If you're really looking at customer satisfaction, there's no one element that you need to focus on. It has to be the entire chain, and you have to look for the weak points and the weak links, and those are the ones you have to fix because that's where not to use a cliche too much, but you're only as strong as your weakest link. So all the links have to be strong in the chain from pre-sales to sales, implementation, post-sales support, and ongoing service. So just how it is.
Like I said, I've worked customer service roles before, so to see a company that focused on it, I mean, it's huge. And a lot of the so-called scrappy upstarts tend to get their footing because of that, because your competitor may have a similar product at a similar price point, but if I go to call them and I don't get the support that I need, well, I'm gonna second guess it when I need to order two or three more because I don't want to be the one stuck going, all right, how the hell does this work and how do I figure it out? So I think you guys are taking the right approach on that, and I think your Q1 numbers speak for themselves on that. I mean, do you honestly, round of applause for you. That year over year increase is fantastic. I mean, do you want to talk about that a little before we take our next question?
I mean, yeah, definitely we should take a minute and pat ourselves on the back for the accomplishment of 785% quarter year 22 over quarter 1 year 21, right? That's huge, right? That's where we want to be. Now, when you dive in a little bit deeper, and I look at why, two of America's largest companies, largest Fortune 50 customers bought their units, which is what pumped the revenue numbers up for the quarter. So it's like, okay, awesome. They bought it, which means they like it so much after, months of testing and due diligence and cyber work and blah, 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 right? Like, these guys are like working with the DoD. They like it well enough that they actually lay down, hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy many of these units for their facilities. That for me is, a bigger uh, cause to celebrate than the spike in revenue, right? I want to understand why. So that's a huge vote of confidence. I wish I could go public with either or both of those companies' names, but I can't and I won't, as everybody knows. But if we did, it would be pretty. It'd be pretty cool. But luckily, we've got other big names that should be revealed over time, as I've said. Um, but I don't think these two guys will ever give me permission just because of who they are and how they operate their businesses. But yeah,
Well,
it's amazing. It's amazing.
well,
Yeah.
and I think again that speaks volumes about not only you as a CEO, but AITX as a company. Is one, I already know you're like, hey, pat ourselves on the back. We're already on to the next thing. We're not even talking about it internally anymore. Um, but one of the impressive things about that is you don't just say, "Hey, you know what? We made the money. That's great. Let's go next month." I know the way your brain works. You're picking apart every little detail to see, okay, why did they do this? Why did they, pay up front for X, Y, or Z? What did they see, and how can we utilize that when expressing ourselves to other customers? I mean, I think that's one of the most important things you can do as an expanding business is isolate where your successes are coming from and reiterate on them instead of just saying, "Hey, we're the greatest company ever. That's why people bought it." On to the next thing.
Yep, that's exactly right. Exactly right. And thanks for pointing that out. And you're absolutely right. We took a moment, we took a breath, we pat ourselves on the back, for an incredible Q1, and then it was immediately on to Q2. And Q2, we have, we're certainly going to, uh, beat Q2 last fiscal year, right? Like that's done. It's normally something I wouldn't be definitive on if I wasn't, 100% sure. So it's done. We've already beat Q2, which isn't much of an accomplishment, but nonetheless it is. So that's out there. Now, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a very specific number to come out of Q2, which will give us what I think is a pretty important year-to-date revenue number for the year. So we have a path there, and I need a couple things to happen in order to hit that. And if we hit that, then any of the critics that have ever said anything, they need to close down their accounts and create new accounts. As it is, anybody who ever questioned the Rex or really questioned anything that I've said, really has no credibility. The challenge is that with only 20% of our, total investor community, by my estimate, really understanding the company, while the other 80% are looking at the charts, not looking at any press releases, not listening to any podcasts, not engaged in the community. It's hard for us, right? So that's why we have this base. So we can do great things, but we need the momentum in the greater market in order for the share price to show that. And that's really one of the themes I have on this call, which you've heard me say before, which is to ask the AITX investor community to, be out there, get out there, share the news, correct the stupid nonsense, fight back with your keyboards on stupid nonsense as it shows up, because we're really all in this together. I've always said that, I can do my part. Um, but the nature of the internet and OTC means that it really requires the community's assistance for us to make gains, not just the company performance.
Oh, and listen, I don't want to drag everybody into a street fight right now, but that's the big issue that I have with a lot of these, stock gurus and stock promoters is they'll tell you, hey, if you buy my specific stocks, you'll be millionaires, but if you buy this other stock that I clearly missed out on, you're being scammed, and I'm here to help you to prevent you from being scammed. It's like, okay, well, your tweet just cost me 30% of my investment and didn't really
Right.
do anything for me other than to kind of to prove a point, and often to prove a point with either outdated or incorrect or unfactual information. So really, who's the scam artist here? Is it the company or the guy promoting himself on Twitter saying that if he says it's a scam, it's a scam? I mean, and that's what the community needs to watch out for and kind of push back on. And I've seen one of the questions about, hey, what should we say when people are going at us, on stock twits and all that. The information's out there. I mean, Steve's pretty forward. If you have any questions, you can always ask them on the Discord. 9 times out of 10, what they're trying to hit us on is something from a year or 2 years ago. The dilution question is the big one that goes up in the air, or is there going to be a reverse? Steve's already said multiple times there's no reverse planned. And in terms of dilution, I mean, look at what was announced back in December. They did the debt consolidation. I mean, the information's
Well,
there.
yeah, and let's talk about that dilution because there's a lot of misconceptions on it. I'll give you an example. I did a financing deal a couple months ago. I don't remember the exact timing. It's in the queue or whatever, right? I don't remember the specific numbers except for one number, and that number was 13.5 cents, 13 and a half cents. Basically, the way the math worked is that 100 million or maybe more. Again, I don't remember the exact numbers, but you know, in that range of shares were added to the OS. Okay, great. Dilution, no big deal. Company got money, funding operations growth, all the good stuff that we needed to do. But they were at a fixed price of 13 and a half cents. So people can cry about, share count going up. But what's the nature? Again, dive into the details. What's the nature of the share count going up? If it's at 13 and a half cents, who cares? Right? Those shares aren't going to be sold. They're going to be held. No one's going to sell, you know, at a loss, which is effectively what that person would have to do. So we're at a point in our evolution as a customer, as a company, where our relationships with these, lenders are such that we're getting, fixed price deals, which limit dilution and which make these lenders, for the first time in our history since December, our partners. They want the price to go to 50 cents. They want it to go to a dollar. They've sat down, met with me, you know, I've shared, public information with them, but they got to kind of see me face to face and understand my character. And they're like, okay, we're going to make this deal. So it's very, 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 very different than years prior, where dilution could be unending because of how those debt deals would happen. We don't have any of those debt deals anymore. So I know that it's technical, and I know some investors don't necessarily want to, dive into the details to that extent. But, you know, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot that I do on a daily basis because I care about the AITX community, because I care about our investor base. And that 13 and a half cent deal is just one of them. Another one was also listed in the queue, where we took Garrett, we took Garrett's shares off the table, which would have converted into 800 and maybe 50 million common shares. So when you've got these pundits sitting around messing with math, saying that AITX is headed towards reverse, and they point out, bits and pieces of information that support their case, they're missing so much information, and that critical piece of information, for better or for worse, is me. How am I going to handle it? What decisions am I making to avoid that, right? What is my plan? Well, I just gave you two super strong elements of the plan, which further prove that a reverse split does not need to be on the horizon. I said it 100 times. Do the math. When you do the math, there's lots of available shares. Look at my record of deal making since I took over as CEO. You'll see I've been making great deals. So, and I've got a couple more that'll be coming down the pike soon, and we'll be in great shape. So, anyway, those are 2 points I want to reinforce, and we probably should get to some questions. John, I
Yes,
know you want to comment on that, and that's fine, but I still definitely want to get to community questions.
absolutely. One comment I'll make, and then we'll do community questions for the rest of the time. Is about that? Oh, let's say 13-cent strike price, right? You have your own deal in place where you're financially motivated for the company to hit 25, 30 cents. Uh, so it's not like you're you know I guess what's the easiest way to explain it? You're not selling your long term future for short term gains. I mean, you do better if the company's stock price is higher. And I
Yeah,
think
for
that's something a
sure.
lot of people forget.
Yeah, and in the queue, I did add several other objectives to my comp plan. that do various awards to for me as well. There's a variety of different numbers that we need to hit that I'll be rewarded on, and and that's that too. And I think that's fair. I mean, this is year year six of this, so I need to start to return some lifestyle to my family at this point as well.
All right. So first question is from Brian Krantz. He says, "Is there any chance?" Well, I'm gonna reword the question and say, "Is there any chance of an uplist in the near future?"
Sure, Brian. Hello. I do recognize your name from from being online. So thank you for being involved. Great question. The plan has not changed since the last time I talked about the plan, which is beginning of next fiscal year, we will apply to uplist to the QB, and we'll see how that goes. The QB has changed some criteria, so there's no chance of us making it this year, but hopefully next year we can get up to the QB. Now, why is that important? Why do I think the QB is important? Well, the QB and 10 cents is important because additional brokers will be able to trade us, and different types of retirement funds will be able to trade us if we're on the QB. So basically, what it does is it'll be a moment in the future where the available pool of liquidity will increase substantially to us. So that's the benefit of moving to the QB. And like I said, we're going to file that most likely. See, there's my hedge. Most likely in March of 2022. I think that probably there's a follow-up question, which would be, when are you going to go to NASDAQ? You know, 3 to 5 years, I think. I mean, it's really hard to tell right now. You know, the QB is an exchange where I think we could grow company market cap to 5, 6, 7 billion dollars. It certainly has the liquidity. The pinks have the liquidity as well to drive our market cap up based on daily trading volume that these exchanges do. So the move to the Nasdaq, might be when, hey, we want to set a valuation. This is speculation, right? We want to set a valuation of 10, 15, $20 billion on the company or something like that, and then take it into those greater levels of liquidity that Nasdaq offers. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm just going through. It seems like you answered some of them ahead of time, so I'm trying to see which ones we can ask.
Sure.
Let's
I
see.
don't know where you're even finding the question, so I'm not. I'm just getting some steps and pacing my office
No,
as
no,
I
all
do.
good. Let's see. Okay, that one got answered. Oh, okay. Well, I think we've had this question before, but we'll ask it again. Levin DDS says, "Hi, Steve. Would a share buyback be in consideration in the near future?" Um,
No,
okay. And he's got another part to it that I'll ask, but do you want to touch on that first or no?
it's just not the time. I mean, share buybacks are accomplished by companies with tremendous liquidity or offshore profits, and they're trying to onshore, value back to the investors by doing a buyback, by limiting the number of shares that are out there. We're not at that stage. That's a later stage event in the business cycle of any company, and we're still early stages.
Yeah, that I mean, and this is for Nasdaq as well as the OTC. You don't tend to see meaningful stock buyback until the company's flush with cash and needs something to do with it.
Yeah, yeah. When the business has matured, when there's no need or there's no opportunities for that cash to be invested, then shareholders will start talking about buybacks, and it's the right thing to do at that point. Right now, we've got so much market to capture, so many new items to create, so many elements for investment in order to create this company that has lots and lots of zeros behind the number. Um, that buyback is off the. It's I asked that question, but it's not even under any sort of consideration.
No, but you know what? It's better to have it out there, right? So
Yeah,
a second part of his question was, and we touched on this briefly, but I think at least terms, if you can share, that would be good. You mentioned in a weekly video that you may be announcing a potential partner in August. He asked, is it a 50-50 partner in the company, which nine nine times out of 10 it's not, or is it going to be something like a JV?
So that very specifically is the tech partnership that we talked about earlier in the call.
Okay.
It's one and the same. There's not two. This would be more of a this is not an ownership partnership of any way. There's no exchange of any type of ownership units in any way whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see. Sorry, just scrolling through a lot of comments from the peanut gallery. Give me 1 minute.
No, sure.
Oh, okay. So here you go. Look for the helpers. Good friend of ours. How many new revenue streams do you see being launched this calendar year?
Hmm. Well, it's a good question. Uh, just phrasing my answer here. I mean, Rad is going to be adding at least a couple of solutions to the price list this year, and some of them are mundane. A couple of them are exciting on the software side. So Rad is going to have a bit of expansion for sure. The Rad G work is is something that I do hope that matures into two revenue streams by the end of this fiscal year. I don't know yet how long it will take for those revenue streams to start producing, and I'm not sure that it'll happen this fiscal year, but I do expect to get it out into the market this fiscal year. Um, I think that's the best answer that I could give.
All right, great. And then the second part of his question says the 17 unit order to a global retailer. Can you give any updates as to how that deployment is going?
Units are being shipped out next week and will be starting to be deployed next week or the week after. I think we're going to complete the shipping and implementation by mid-August. I think we're going into something like 10 cities and 6 states or something. I don't know, from Florida to California. Uh, I visited a couple of the Dallas sites a few weeks ago when I was in Dallas. We've got location in Los Angeles, location in Tampa. I forget the other cities that the units are going into. But I mean, everything's going, I mean, the units, I can show you pictures of the units in QC on the wall in Detroit. So everything's happening. That's basically the update that I could give. I think it'll be really interesting August, towards the end of August, as people start to see the units and go to the units. Um, and then, hopefully the company who, is using the units is really happy with their performance. And, we can go bigger and go public and, add a couple hundred more stores and locations to it. So yeah, it's an exciting one, and it's a good question to follow up on because there's a lot of action there.
So before I get to the next question, for that 17 unit order, are they skinning them or are they, bog standard skinned AITX products?
All of the roses are going to be in a gray, in like kind of a gunmetal gray, so there won't be any branding on them. There might be a rad logo on them. I can't remember what the final decision was, but the Scott that is going up is going to be in full customer colors, and I obviously I've seen it. It is glorious. It is glorious. I love it. So yeah, a little bit of a combination. Roses and gray, Scott in full regalia.
Would you be allowed to tell us what colors it's going to be wrapped in?
Wow, everyone's really hammering down on this one, eh? Um, there's white involved. There is there's a particular shade of green involved, and there's a third major color involved in the color scheme. But y'all know me. I love putting the puzzle pieces out there. So
I
I'm
th-
sure Fins Up fan has already figured out who it is, but
I'm
I'm
sure
running with the.
between him and Craig, I'm sure they've locked down exactly who it is now. um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, and actually, a question from our buddy Craig, and that relates pretty well to the 17 unit order is, have you seen build times start to come down now that the Rex is open?
Yeah, it's been crazy. We popped together like four Rosa in one day with a relatively fresh crew. I think Thursday last week or something like that. I don't know. It was crazy. It was crazy, right? Like handful of guys. You know, we have one of our Canadian engineers who crosses the border every day into Detroit, and she's just been fantastic. That's helped. What has also helped is the Rosa 180s have some significant build improvements, and as far as how they go together, that have also helped. And then our Detroit team is just fantastic. So, uh, any one of those three elements would have improved efficiency, but all three of them working together, like we've got something like 40 Rosa that we got to put out by the end of August. 40 Rosa. It'll be our largest shipping month ever. And, I've got a whole pile of additional units that I'm like, hey, we might need to get these out ASAP. So get the teams ready. I'm preparing to have an Elon Musk moment of, maybe sleeping on the factory floor to do everything I need to do to get these units out because I want to have this great second quarter. I mean, you know me, I want to have a great every month. I want to have a great every day. It doesn't stop. But we slayed first quarter. If I could do what we want to do in Q2, then I think it'll be amazing. If we don't get done what I'm aspiring to in Q2, it's not the end of the world. It's not existential, but it would just I think be a real big move for us to do. So that's what I'm working towards.
So, I don't want to put you on the spot. Do you have like some kind of quantifiable number of like, hey, we've opened Rex and now assembly times down 30%, or is that something you want to keep internal for now?
I just don't have it. I mean, we've started improving our job costing methods as far as the builds go, but we're nowhere near finished. We have to balance doing admin work with the admin work of logging time and so forth with building. So I've said to the team, obviously prioritize building and customers and getting units out. And if you can work into the process in a relatively efficient manner, starting to do more accurate job costing, then start to do it. So it's not a huge priority for me, Q2. We're going to ease into, you know, that side of the business over the next couple of quarters. But I'm really waiting for the ERP to come in because anything we do now pre-ERP is going to have to be redone once that system is in.
So, another question relating to that. Um, Actually, I saw it up a little bit further. For the Rex investor experience, is that going to be invite only, or anybody can come, or how are we doing that?
Pretty much anybody could come. What's going to happen is on Thursday, I will post the application. So there's certainly a process to go through. You just got to basically say who you are and so forth. You don't have to be an investor. I'm not asking if you are an investor, but I'm asking what your Twitter name is and what your name is, blah 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 blah. Right. So just collecting that information, and then I think we're going to limit it to 50 people. So there's only so much room in the space. But what we are going to do is we're going to video record the entire event. So the entire 2 hours we will video record. We will put up that raw, or maybe we can even stream it actually. That's actually probably a better idea. Maybe we'll stream the entire event because you guys know me. I want equal access to information by everybody. So we'll stream the event live, and then after the fact, we'll create a highlights reel. If there are highlights from it, I have no idea, and we'll post that. So if you can't make it, it's okay. We'll stream it. If you can make it, fantastic. I truly look forward to meeting you. And that's what's happening with that. What'd you call it? The Rex Investor.
Experience.
Oh, so okay. I like that. I like that. So now it's the Rad Excellence Center Investor Experience. I think there's an acronym. in there somewhere.
We'll work one out.
Hmm. We
So,
shall.
no, honestly, I'm looking forward to it. So long as schedules align, I think Craig and I will actually both be there. Obviously, Craig's just an investor, but I'm gonna bust out the Iron Man helmet, and we'll see how it goes. I still want to
Do
ride a
it.
Romeo. I'm telling you, Romeo Jousting is gonna be the next big thing. It's gonna be bigger than robots fighting. Let's see what else we got
Once
here.
you see the Romeo racetrack, you're gonna have your dream can come true of the Romeo battles. And listen, if you want to ride a Romeo, just jump into a Ford F-150 and I'll tow it, and there you go. You'll be towed by a Romeo.
That's cool.
That was a big deal. I was expecting, that there'd be more interest from that, but I think it was just too much of a technical demonstration. But when you have an autonomous robot, right, built by us, built by AITX, pulling a vehicle like that, I have to have the engineers calculate the math, so that I can have like, I don't know, newtons of pounds per, I don't know. I don't even know. I'm not an engineer, but
No, you know
I want to know what that translates into the math side.
what we'll have to do is we'll have to kidnap a unspecified competitor's robot and then have them pull each other apart and see just how much just how badly Romeo drags it. That'll that'll be how we do that. Maybe we put a chainsaw on it too. Um,
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. Yeah.
so let's see. Okay, this is a quick one. Far Warthog asks, "How do you skin your products? Do you use hydro dip or is it
Uh,
like a ceramic wrap?"
ceramic wrap.
Let's see. Is your designer in house, or do you guys have like a third party designer for that? Because your work is impeccable.
All of our designs are done by a third-party contractor. All of the rad designs. Our tour is obviously in-house and a designer, but is buried in the rad 3.0 work. So we're he's not the guy to come, put a corporate logo on a wrap. He's a real designer. So, and he's doing great work. I'll share with you that last week we moved Rosa 3.0 from his table to the engineers that are going to start to work on it. Make it real. So very exciting. We're pushing him very, very hard. There's a lot to do, and I want to get into the 3.0 world as quick as we can. So we'll be there soon.
So since we're coming closer towards the end of it, is there anything you can share about the new 3.0 platform?
I mean, the 3.0 platform is going to be easily recognizable from the design improvements, from the visual design improvements. Those are being married to some significant functionality improvements that are mostly internal in terms of our own board that we're developing, um, which is coming along nicely. So really what we're doing is we're saying, hey, this stuff works. This stuff works great. How do we make it more efficient, make it faster, build it better? How do we just evolve what we're doing, um, so that we could be better faster? So that's really what it's about. From my perspective, getting to this point as a business, the point that we're at right now, is a major accomplishment because so many tech companies would not have made it this far and have not made it this far. So this for me, Rad 3.0 is a real win. It's going to be a real kind of coming out party where we've got world class everything front to back, from inside, outside, product, customer, corporation, stock, finances, everything. So I'm really, really, really happy with how that's coming, and how that timing should happen before the end of the year, before the end of the calendar year, rather. Very exciting.
Well, I think we're getting closer towards the end of it, and I don't want to take away too much time away from your family on a weekend. Is there anything else you want to share with the investors? Any
No, not off the top of my head. I think we hit a lot of. I made one note here. Let me see if I hit this note. Uh, Nope. I think I hit my notes. It's perfect.
So I'll ask this last question because it is an important one. Cartoon One asks, do you expect Q2's revenues will be much greater than Q1?
Too early to tell. I wouldn't expect it to be much greater for sure. If it was, it would be a tremendous accomplishment. So no, I don't. I don't. I have a number in mind that is less than Q1, which I think would be fantastic for us, and that's my stretch goal for the quarter.
Yeah, I think it's important. And again, the reason why for me I think it's important to point out is Q1's was great. You know, it was a huge accomplishment, and I think you and I agree. It was helped by these larger companies saying, you know what, let's just buy it. Let's just you know go full in on this. And look, if it happens again in Q2, great. But it kind of does skew the numbers a little bit for you because of stuff like that.
Yep.
So you just
Yep. But it set the bar higher for us. It set that challenge higher for us, and that's what I'm saying. I have a path to a number that I really like, that I think would be a really good number for us. The funny thing about it is it's like, uh, everybody wants strong results because they think it's going to reflect in share price. In this particular case, the case of last week, coming out with huge financial results did not affect the share price in any significant way. So, maybe we got to get through this fiscal year, and continue to perform and finish with some strong numbers and see where we go from there. I don't know. I mean, I never know timing. All I know is we're going to continue to perform, um, and drive this company and drive all of ourselves as hard as is reasonably can be expected.
And guys, I think that's the most important part is, the company's continuing to improve. Q1 was fantastic. Q2 shaping up to be another great quarter. And really at this point, what the company needs more than anything is your emotional support. Not because the company's not doing great, just because you've got a lot of people using older, outdated information to try to muddy the waters. And I think it takes a really strong investment community to kind of say, hey, listen, you can go do that for other stocks, but we don't accept that here, and your bullshit is not reality.
Yep.
See, the
Yep. I
dog
mean,
agrees
let's
with
look
me
at the
too.
numbers. There's probably yes, she does. She does. Come on in. Come on in. You come hang out with me. Um, I think there's probably like maybe 15 of the, so-called pundits plus, handful of what I'm pretty sure are paid bashers that are, spreading this misinformation. That's 15, right? We've got almost 15,000 in the Waypoint Discord right now. Or you've got almost 15,000 in the Waypoint Discord. There's no doubt in my mind that, our team is exponentially larger than their team and can drown them out should we so choose. So I certainly want to continue to encourage the team to be keyboard warriors and get the right information into the right hands. I'm not saying pump. I want to be very clear. We don't pump, but we correct and we share accurate information. We share links to accurate press releases, to my videos where I say certain things. Um, and that's really what the truth is when you're dealing with thousands of anonymous users or tens of thousands in AITX's case. We got to link back to the real info, and we got to create this standard of credibility and authenticity. So it's a community effort, and I thank everybody for what they've done so far. We've got some great warriors on stock twits and all over the place. I thank you guys, and I encourage more to join the effort.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, the fact of the matter is, uh, people will take the truth and try to twist it and spin it to their own benefit, and it takes a strong community to point it out and say, well, that's not 100% accurate. Here's the actual numbers. And look, that's on both sides. That's not just people speaking negatively. You'll have people they'll come up with some bullshit deal and say, oh, Steve's going to get bought out by X, Y, or Z. That hurts the company just as much. We want
Yep.
everything to be factual and kosher here because the company and their employees are spending countless hours to do things the right way, and nobody wants to see an artificial pump because somebody put out some information that wasn't real.
Yep. Yep. Talking about that, last few days there's been this, I don't know, this rumble of we should do something with Dark Pulse, EPLS, whatever. I don't know why people think we should do something with them. I don't know them whatsoever, and I have no relations with them, and I have no intent to do anything with them. I don't know who they are, or what they do. So I just want to kind of share that again publicly um, for everybody's edification.
So you guys heard it here. There's no Dark Pulse deal. Sorry to burst your bubble.
Yeah.
So, Steve, as always,
Well,
it was
good.
a
Okay.
pleasure.
Yep. Likewise, John. Thank you so much. I got to roll. I'll be on Discord later today and Twitter and whatever. So look forward to comments and feedback as always. John, have a great day. Good meetings tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll connect after you do what you're doing tomorrow.
Fantastic. Have a good one, buddy. I'll see you later. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. As always, my name is John, and this is the Waypoint. Have a good one.
I love it. Later, guys.
Later.